the Game Week 31 Deadline live stream. Of course, if you didn't know already, it is a Friday deadline. Hence, why you can see pretty much everybody on a live stream right now. We are currently at 5:30. We've got an hour until the deadline. So, of course, if you haven't got your teams locked in, then this is the place to be. Hopefully, over the next 45 minutes or so, we can go through your teams, get them locked in, and importantly, talk about the best players to buy, what kind of chip strategy to go down. I need to sort out my team as well because I have had work today. I haven't had a chance to really sort my team out. So we'll go through that as well. And of course, main thing is getting your questions answered. If you have any questions, get them in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the world. All that good stuff. I want to make sure we get straight into this. But I will get a few polls in the chat just to see what everybody's deliberating in terms of captaincy and all those sort of things. Because I do feel like captaincy is a really big one this game week. So we need to make sure we also get that correct. I think there are 2 players really that are up for grabs this week. And it could be the classic case of not backing the early kickoff for a lot of people if they don't want to go with Bruno Fernandes. Ollie, hopefully I've answered that in the chat, buddy, on WhatsApp. Aiden, how natural, best midfield option under 6.4 million. I already own Wilson and Dango. We'll take a look at some midfield options in a minute for sure. We'll get up the website. We'll take a look at those players just to give a bit of a easier understanding on those players, their price points, their ownerships for sure. Ollie, I'm going to wild card 32. Why should I save some of my transfers rather than use them this week? Ollie, you could absolutely use your transfers this week. I really do think it's a case of making sure you have a good team this week. However, if you're doing the chip strategy of Game Week 32 wildcard, bench boost 33, and then you're going to be free hitting in Game Week 34, when you get to Game Week 35, you don't really know what your team's going to look like. It might look great for Game Week 32, but by the time you get to Game Week 35, you might be in a position where you might actually need some transfers to address certain situations. The landscape may change. So that's why if you're in a position where you have 4 free transfers and you only need 2 transfers this week, I wouldn't be chasing the other 2. Keep them in your back pocket for when you get to Game Week 35, because you are going to have to fend off some of those managers that are going down the strategy of wildcarding in Game Week 35. Buddy Trixie, how we doing? Well, Clutch is saying Gordon or Szoboszlai. I think for this particular game week, I personally would lean towards Gordon. I think playing as a forward with penalties in a decent enough fixture, I think that is where I would play it. But of course, Szoboszlai the following week has Fulham at home. Probably would say that's slightly better than Crystal Palace away for Newcastle themselves. And then we are anticipating a double for Newcastle in Game Week 33. We don't know whether Liverpool are going to double in 33. They need to beat Man City in the FA Cup for them to have that double. Chad, we're doing well. Morning from Arizona, mate. Awesome. I would absolutely love to travel to somewhere like that. Completely. I see it in the movies. I would love to go somewhere like that, 100%. Chalobah to Chow and Krupa to DCL. Yep, I can get behind that. If you've got the transfers available, I think that's a good move for the next couple of game weeks. And he's saying, got Van de Ven back, can I start him? If you've brought Van de Ven back, you absolutely have to start him with this game against Nottingham Forest, unless the rest of your team looks so damn good. But I personally think Van de Ven is an okay play this week. Bad Funny Gamer, hope we're doing well. All he's saying, I've got Dubravka, Virgil van Dijk, Dalot, Hill, Rodon, Bruno, Wilson, Sade, Rogers, Thiago, Calvert-Lewin, and then 4 players blank. What should I change? Well, sounds like you've got a starting 11, no? I expect Dalot to start. Most likely Hill, Rodon's fine. I really don't think you need to force a move in this week. Yes, you could possibly pivot towards a Newcastle defender if you want to go there, but the rest of the team, I think, looks absolutely fine, to be honest with you. Louis, I will show you my team in a bit, but I haven't actually locked it in, unfortunately, so I do need to get into that position where I can show you where I'm at and what I'm planning on doing as well. What are the chances of Mukiele starting? I don't know on that one. I will take a look at Twitter to see what is the crack right now, to see what is going on. Let me have a quick look. Sorry, like I said, I've been working all day, so I haven't had a chance to properly find out what is everything going on. In terms of Sunderland, the latest regarding them is that, so Mukiele's still uncertain to feature. So again, position like myself where I have Lafay, I don't really know whether he's going to start or not. If you have the transfers available, I think covering yourself and maybe giving yourself the opportunity to buy someone in case they don't play is the better play. Or you just bench Mukiele and say to yourself, if he plays, it is what it is. I'm going to bench him and start somebody ahead of him. Right, so while you guys are putting the stuff in the chat, please do get him in the chat. I'll be sure to answer them. I just want to put up my current team right now just to show you the position I'm in. And hopefully some people maybe can relate to it as well. So this is where we're at right now. Hopefully you guys can see that all okay. Let me just maybe make it a little bit bigger because half of that is not really relevant, is it? We can go all the way up there. Okay, so this is the spot that I'm in right now. So I made one transfer last night to avoid the price drop of Rice because that was going to impact my sell price. I ended up doing Declan Rice to Harry Wilson. So I've currently got Dubravka with the away game against Fulham. It is what it is. I know I've bought Wilson, but I obviously am going to play Dubravka and I'm not going to buy a goalkeeper. A back two of Hill and Anderson. Obviously, I need to buy a defender on this stream, which we'll talk about in a minute. Midfield 5 of Rodgers, Lafay, Dango, Bruno Fernandes and Wilson. And then a 2 of Thiago and Ekitike. Do just need to put the vice captain on Wilson for now. I haven't fully decided who I am going to captain, but I am currently leaning towards Bruno Fernandes. But before people say it, I know they're the early kickoff and there's probably a good chance they end up blanking, no doubt, and ruining the game week. But I think Bruno is just playing so well right now. I am fine about captaining him. As I said, my bench, Raya, Richards, Haaland, Gabriel, and I'm currently starting O'Reilly. And we got the situation right now with Lafay being yellow flagged. So what does the landscape look like? Well, this is kind of what we're looking like right now. Shout out to FPL.team for these projections. Just a reminder, they are projections. We don't actually know what is going to happen. So we know game week 31 is a guaranteed blank for the 4 teams, Arsenal, Man City, Wolves and Crystal Palace. So we know that. Game week 32 is locked in as a single game week. Game week 33 will be dependent on what the FA Cup quarter-final results are. So right now we're anticipating Arsenal to beat Southampton. I think we can all say that. So they'll double. And we expect Chelsea to win against Port Vale, so they will double with Man United and Brighton. Then it comes down to who wins between Man City and Liverpool. Depends on which one has a double, and that will impact the blank in game week 34. So the strategy right now for a lot of people is you wildcard in 32, you then bench boost in 33 because you've built a team to benefit from that. You then free hit in game week 34, and then game week 35 to 38, you just use your transfers and you build a team off the back of that. So if you can, and honestly, I think if you're in a position where you've got 5 transfers and you don't need to use them, I think the wildcard strategy in 32 is the best play because you're going to have 5 transfers, 4 or 5 transfers in game week 35 to kind of counteract those managers that use their wildcard. So I think that is the best play. You kind of really do capitalize on that 3 game week period between 32 and game week 34. But of course, some managers want to go down a different route. Free hit in game week 33 because the 32 team doesn't look too bad. Then you can obviously wildcard in game week 35 and play your bench boost kind of whenever best suits. I think that's absolutely fine as a strategy. One in which I've deliberated. However, I personally just think I want ease. And I think for that reason, I'm looking at just targeting game week 31. Who has a good fixture? Who also could I play in game week 32 if I wanted to? And then put myself in a position where once game week 31 deadline is passed, relax for 2 weeks because the game week 32 deadline is the 10th of April. And we're going to have international football and importantly, we're going to have those FA Cup games. Once that's out the way, then I think we can understand what our chip strategy is going to be. So for context, let's say you buy Newcastle, that's going to really benefit you for game week 33 double. But of course, they blank in game week 34. So it comes down to what strategy you want to go down. For me, I kind of want to be flexible and just buy the good players that are good in game week 31. Simple as that. And also ones that I do trust. So coming into my team on Plan FPL, just as an example right now. So I've currently got 2.2 million in the bank and I need to buy a defender. I have to buy a defender, 100%. So when we look at the best options available, I don't know if I've actually got this up here. No, I don't. Apologies. So I haven't got my slide up in terms of the defenders, but we're all shopping from the same pool, really. You've got people like Tete. So let me just bring him up on your screen. So we could double down on Fulham, but for me, Tete currently yellow flagged, and I don't really like the idea of doubling down on Fulham in case you do decide to not go down the wildcard 32 route. So while I think he's fine, do I really want to go there? Not really. So I'm happy to avoid Tete. Then we're all looking at the same pool of players. Chow, great for this week. I say great. I still expect it to be a really tricky game, but it's fine. And then Crystal Palace in this week, where they're going to have a Conference League game prior to that. So that game looks a little bit better. Then they've got game week 33, but of course, that could possibly be a double game week of Bournemouth and Arsenal. So once again, I think Chow is fine for both game week 31 and game week 32. Chow's good, Hall's good as well. If you can afford Hall, I think he's probably the more exciting play. I think Chow is the safe DEFCON pick, if I'm honest with you. Then we're going all the way up to Virgil van Dijk as an option. I currently don't own him. His ownership's massive. We've just had the news that Alisson isn't going to be available for Liverpool. Not ideal. The good thing about Liverpool is that they have Brighton away. I probably think they concede in that game. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a negative approach on that one. But game week 32, a good fixture against Fulham. And then, of course, a possible double if they win in game week 30. In the FA Cup quarterfinal against Man City. So, right now, I am leaning towards Chow as the pick. Again, I'm hoping that he doesn't suddenly not become available. And I would rather sell O'Reilly than that of Gabriel and Richards. It just doesn't really make sense to me selling Richards because he has a better fixture in game week 32 if I was to play him. So Chow would come in for O'Reilly and the team would look like this. But to be honest with you, do I want to roll the dice with Lafay and actually play him this week? I don't really know if that is the route I want to go for. So I've got 2 transfers left and I really think I'm happy to use one more. I really am. I'm going to have 2 then free transfers if I wildcard in 32, bench boost in 33, and free hit in game week 34. So remember, you can't roll transfers when you play with chips. So I'll get to game week 35 with 2 free transfers. That's fine with me. That's absolutely fine. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to navigate that when we get to that moment. So just a reminder, if I had this team, what it would look like in game week 35. I mean, that looks fine. Arsenal always looks fine. Thiago at home against West Ham. Haaland against Everton. Gabriel. Chow against Brighton. These are all fine. But remember, I will be wildcarding in 32. So I don't know why I showed you that. So then it comes down to the best play. I either do a few things. We either make a defensive transfer and I do Richards to Virgil van Dijk and I double down on defenders. I sell Lafay, and if I sell Lafay, the only problem with that is I've got 7.1 million in the bank. And if we look at the options available to us at 7.1 million, realistically, we're buying one of Szoboszlai, which I think is an absolutely fine play. I think he probably starts once again. Then we're coming down to some cheaper options. Iwobi, double Fulham. I like it for this week. I don't really know if I love it in case I don't wildcard in game week 32. And then we're kind of coming down to some more quite woeful picks, if I'm honest with you. So really, what I could do is buy Szoboszlai, and my team would look like this for game week 31. And then in game week 32, the team would look like this. And to be honest with you, I would be fine having this team if I didn't want to wildcard it. So I'll be quite interested to know what you guys think. Which option, and then we're going to get back in the chat, guys. Sorry for this. Which option? I can either do Richards to VVD, Virgil van Dijk. I can do Lafay to Sobo. Or I could do Haaland to someone like a Jared Bowen. Or a Richarlison. I'll be interested to know what you guys think. But let me go back in the chat a minute and let's sort through some of these. Use 3 free transfers and -4 hit or wildcard. I don't love the wildcard this week, so if it had to be one of them, it would be the former of those two. So Ball's life for Mbeumo. Few people are worried about Mbeumo. Let me just check out on Twitter a minute just to see what's going on. Because some people are saying that, you know, they might actually be in a position where he might get rested or not start. Let's just see if that is true at all. But like I said, I don't really know if there is much going on in terms of whether Mbeumo gets benched or not. So personally, I think that move is fine, but I also think Mbeumo offers a lot of value as well. Robinson fancying a punt with a Tete news. Fine if you want to go there, but you know you're basically just buying for the potential attacking returns, and that is it. Best Haaland replacements. Okay, so that's interesting. If we take a look at the forwards right now and the options available to us. So, you know, Ekitike, I think, is still a little bit of a minutes problem, but, you know, he can be fine. I think João Pedro, again, I just don't feel good about Chelsea right now. Bowen, I think, is quite an interesting one. Villa, off the back of European football, I think there's going to be opportunities for Bowen. Then he's got Wolves, Palace, Everton. Really nice 4 games there. I think Bowen is a really nice pickup. I can't really get behind the Sesko pick. So then I think you're really rolling the dice on some other players. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of people are talking about Richarlison. I can't get behind it myself, but I think Richarlison has to be considered. He'll start and play most minutes against Forest. Sunderland away, it's not the worst. And then Brighton and then Wolves. I mean, Wolves have proven to be a tough cookie now, but I think otherwise it's there. Calvert-Lewin is probably the safe pick, really. Brentford at home, United away, then he's got Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley. Like, if we are wildcarding, I think Calvert-Lewin in 32 is going to sit in a lot of wildcards for this, with the bench boost in game week 33 possibly. And again, then you own him in game week 35 when a lot of people are going to own him already. Is it worth switching Enzo to Wilson and Tarkowski to Virgil van Dijk / Chow, or is it better rolling? So I think Enzo starts, and I think he's absolutely fine. Wilson, obviously, I prefer. Tarkowski, a bit of a doubt. Do you have the bench to accommodate if Tarkowski misses out? Otherwise, if you've got the transfers available, I do like those moves. I probably would preference Chow myself, but I get it with Virgil van Dijk. The ownership is pretty damn big. FPL Top Bins, hope you're doing well, mate. Missed the Chow price increase. Now 0.1 short from doing Keane to Chow. Tete injured. Shall I go Bassi? Bassi for me is the way to go otherwise. Bonus points, amazing. He's going to be right in amongst it if they do keep a clean sheet. So Bassi would be the play. Krupi Jr. or Van Heck? Bench one, start one. I have both Virgil and Szoboszlai. Well, I have no idea whether Krupi starts or not, so I probably would lean towards Van Heck in that case and hope he gets some sort of defensive contributions. So I see you guys in the chat right now are saying Lafitte to Szoboszlai at 53% and then Richards to Virgil van Dijk at 27%. For context, I'm like a little bit short on Gordon, unfortunately, so I can't exactly get there. That's the only problem. Just checking right now on X to see if there's any sort of news right now. But I can't see much. Calvert-Lewin differential captain, definitely a differential captain. Whether he's a good captain, you are taking on some huge ownerships. Bruno Fernandes will be heavy captained. Wilson will be heavy captained. If you go Calvert-Lewin, you basically want both of those to blank, which is quite not a nice experience at all. Just for context, what I'm leaning towards right now, chip strategy-wise, is being flexible, but, you know, wildcard in the 32, bench boost in the 33, free hit in game week 34. I will only have 3 free transfers, I believe. I don't think the transfer rolls during a bench boost. So I think I would only have 2 transfers in game week 35. but I still think that's absolutely fine. I think you can build a wildcard team that looks good enough beyond that point. Play two of Van Heck, Senesi, or Rodon. Well, in terms of the fixtures in this game week, just for context for everybody right now. So, Senesi against Man United, I fully expect him to hit DEFCON. Will he keep a clean sheet? I obviously don't think so because I'm captaining Bruno Fernandes. In terms of Van Heck, with Brighton's game against Liverpool, I obviously think they do concede. Obviously has a good chance of hitting DEFCON again. If you're playing two out of that, I think I'll purposely go for Senesi and Rodon myself. I can see Leeds putting up a tough test against Brentford personally. Best Haaland replacement is my only play this week and I'm wildcarding, so it doesn't matter. Well, if you're just looking at a one game week in isolation, then look, Raul Jimenez, if you can run with the minutes, but you obviously know that he could be a 60-minute man. Is that good enough for you? Otherwise, in terms of forwards, it's going to be Richarlison or Watkins. If you're just looking at this game week in isolation, I like Bowen for 2 game weeks, but would he be my number one pick this week? Probably not. And I know it sounds crazy, but I think Richarlison actually would be right up there. I think it's wrong for me to sit here and say I have no confidence in Richarlison, but I have confidence in Watkins, because I don't think that exists either. So you're kind of rolling the dice on all of these picks. João Pedro is going to be the vanilla pick, but that pick might be the play for you if you want to go for a bit more of a safer choice this week. Do I wildcard game week 33 or free hit 33? That comes down to your team really, but I personally think a free hit in 33 is what people are leaning towards right now, but very hard to provide chip advice because we don't obviously have context of the teams right now. I'm just going to leave my current team up on the screen as well for people, just to know where I am at. Obviously, I am going to be buying a defender. I'm probably leaning towards Chow. I do like Lewis Hall, though. In terms of what Lewis Hall's doing in terms of underlying numbers for those that are curious. Curiouser and curiouser. So, in terms of Lewis Hall, minutes have been fantastic for a long time now. But, you know, you are buying a guy who won't hit DEFCON, first and foremost. So, you are buying him for clean sheet and attacking returns. And when it comes to attacking returns, he's got a goal against Man City, 2 assists. Numbers aren't incredible. I was kind of expecting him to be hovering in some good numbers. In terms of the bonus points, just for context, let's bring up all of the Newcastle defenders, because I'm sure Newcastle is the talk of the town right now for a lot of people. If we look at Newcastle defenders, so Chow's leading the way for point scoring at 114. Just for everybody knowing, Dan Burn didn't play against Chelsea, but he was good minutes prior to that. Botman has not really been ever present for Newcastle. Could he possibly start? Maybe. Livramento again come back for the Chelsea game. I just don't know whether he does start or not. So Fabian Schär being out as well. So I expect Chow to play because his minutes have just been incredible. When we look at the defensive contributions, just for context, Chow is just dominating. He basically hits DEFCON in 30, 29, 27, 26. He hit 9 in game week 25. So he is a bit of a beast when it comes to DEFCON. And in terms of goal scoring, he scored 4 goals this season. So it's not like he can't score a goal in this week. In terms of bonus points, for those that are wondering, because maybe Lewis Hall's incredible on bonus points. So again, Chow leading the way on 12. Hall only 4 bonus points. So again, I love the idea of going for Hall. I think he could be great. But I will say that I think Chow is probably the safer pick. I just want to quickly check an account that I always check. It's called Jump the Wave over on X. And they gather predictors together. They get predictors together to kind of predict what the lineup is going to be. And, you know, if they have 100% on Chow, then I always feel a bit safer going down those sort of routes. So in terms of Newcastle, for those that are wondering, let me just get it up a minute. Again, this is Emma at Jump the Wave on X. Newcastle, they've got Livramento at 100%, just a heads up. So, you know, that could be a really exciting differential. Chow at 100%, Botman at 29, Burn at 71, and Hall at 100. So, again, Read into that what you will. I personally think this game is going to be quite tasty. I think there's going to be a lot going on in this game. I think Chow will hit DEFCON. I really do. Especially with how Sunderland play. I think that could cater towards Chow. Did he play the game against Sunderland where they lost? He did. And he hit 22 DEFCON. 22 DEFCON. So I didn't even have to look at that. I didn't have to look at it and we knew that he was hitting DEFCON. So look, I just think that is probably the route I would like to go to myself. I can afford Virgil van Dijk, but I just don't also feel certain that Virgil van Dijk keeps a clean sheet this week. I have no guarantees whether he does keep a clean sheet or not. Away from home, though, they have found a way. And what is good about Virgil van Dijk is worth noting is that you cover off on the ownership and you also cover yourself in game week 32 with Fulham at home if you wanted to keep him there. And that's why I do think possibly a strategy that I go for is going all in on DEFCON. So I go for Chow and I go for Virgil. Now, in terms of Virgil, how's he actually done for DEFCON recently? Well, it's a bit of a myth. He hasn't really hit it recently. So it's not like he's killing it. So this is definitely a play that I'm looking at right now. Going for Chow and Virgil van Dijk. And if we look at my team on Plan FPL, if we were to avoid this move and we done Richards to Virgil, again, I don't really want to look at game week 32 because I'm not saying that I am going to definitely not wildcard. But if I got to game week 32, let's just get rid of all of these chips a minute. You know, Virgil looks good for the Fulham at home game. Lafie can play against Spurs if I really want him in that game. He's not great, but he can play. So it all comes down to the upside really this week. Lafie to Szoboszlai, though, does feel like a good play. João Pedro Bowen long term. Look, if we take a look at the actual fixtures right now, based on Chelsea possibly obviously going through, the Chelsea fixture are good and they'll double in 33. There's a chance West Ham double, by the way, in 33. It's worth noting if they win in the FA Cup. I don't mind West Ham's fixtures. You know, Wolves, Everton, pretty rough at the last four. Chelsea, on the other hand, they have some good fixtures along the way as well. But I think the answer is João Pedro. But I think Bowen, if you're chasing rank, is the place to go. Start Dango or Tavernier. With Tavernier being on penalties, I think I would go for Tavernier myself. I do think Bournemouth score. I do think Bournemouth probably do score. If I could bring in Anderson, Bassi or Chow for 1 week, who would I go for? I would go for Anderson. Just, I think the fixture's better. I think the fixture's better. He's as good as Chow when it comes to DEFCON. Bassi's great for bonus points, but he ain't really that good for defensive contributions. Well, I don't believe anyway. Is Keane to stand a good option, Nacho? No other choice, or should I replace? Well, I imagine Keane does start in some capacity. It sounds like Tarkowski and Branthwaite are both touch and go. Could I see both of them starting? Probably not. So I think you're okay to start Keane. He lit DEFCON, and legitimately, I would not be surprised if Everton were to beat Chelsea. Like, I just wouldn't be surprised. I've got a bad feeling about Chelsea right now. We go in these cycles, and when we're out of a funk, we're out of it altogether, and I think we struggle then. Sorry, I was just keeping an eye on Twitter and X. I'm not expecting any bad news regarding what's it called? Bruno, but Buemo being out will be very interesting if he is not being selected. But again, I don't know if we're actually going to get that news or not, to be honest with you. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to lock in the Chow move. I'm pretty content with it. It looks like he's definitely going to play. I think he's a safe pick, it feels. It feels like he's a safe pick. And then, because I don't know if I want Virgil van Dijk or, like, just for context, I don't think I can get to Gordon. Like, it'd be silly for me to sell Rodgers. If I wanted to get to Gordon, I need to free up 0.2 million. And as you can see, I can't get to a Newcastle player unless I'm certain Dan Burn is going to start. And I'd have to sell Gabriel. And there's just something about selling Gabriel that doesn't really sit well with me at all. One thing I could do, of course, is sell Haaland, but I just don't really want to do that either myself. So I really like Gordon as a pick. The numbers have been incredible. Absolutely incredible. But I just don't think I can get there. Don't think I can get to Gordon. So with that being said, I think O'Reilly makes sense selling and getting there. I think O'Reilly makes a lot of sense. Yes, he might double. Why Chow and not Hall? Mainly because I just want to have guaranteed DEFCON, and I know he's going to hit it. And if Chow gets DEFCON, he's probably in amongst the bonus points as well. Hall doesn't get DEFCON regularly, and yes, he is attacking, but he hasn't had many assists. He's had 2 this season. He could definitely get one, but yeah, I think that there. Ollie, I think I answered in the WhatsApp on that one, buddy. So yeah, I think we're going to do O'Reilly. Chad, does Jump the Wave have Mbeumo starting? Let me check for you. So they got Mbeumo at 85%. 85%. I'll tell you what, I hope I haven't missed the deadline. No, we're good at 6:30. Made me panic then. Jesus. Okay, so I don't really think there is much value in me keeping O'Reilly. I think there could be a chance that he becomes a bit of an issue. So let's get rid of O'Reilly and let's bring in Chow. It's happening. It's happening. Out O'Reilly, in Chow. Is there any need to keep O'Reilly? Not really, no. I don't think there's any need to keep him. So out O'Reilly, in Chow. Confirm. So we've got 11 players now, guys. We got 11 players. But do I think Lafille starts? I just don't know if he does. Even if he does, he's been playing on the left-hand side and he's lost penalties to Diarra. So he isn't really offering that much at all. So now it comes down to, like I said, Lafille to Szoboszlai or somebody else. Or Richards to Van Dijk. Or Richards to Van Dijk. So, again, I call upon you all as my friends to try and help me in this scenario here. I have a preference, but I'll be curious again. Which one? Now that I've made the Chow move. Richards to Virgil or Lafille to Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai. And if there's another one, let me know. I'll put comment. But if you vote on that one and you don't comment, how dare you? How dare you? Right, while you guys are having a look at that, let me take a look at the chat. So Cash or Bassi, Wildcard 32, have Anderson. I don't mind the Cash play, but I prefer Bassi's fixture, so I would probably lean towards Bassi myself in that one. I think Bassi is the play. I think that is the play. I think Gordon Anderson in for Rice and Dallo thought, sorry, I missed. I mean, I think they're good moves. Yeah, I think they're solid moves for sure. Should I sell Haaland to Ekitike or João Pedro? Or should I play Krupi instead and save the transfer and be more flexible wildcard? I really don't know whether Krupi's going to start or not. I really don't know whether Krupi's going to start. Yeah, like start, bench. Like maybe people have a bit more information than I do. Haaland to Ekitike or João Pedro. I mean, over a 2-game week period, I probably do prefer Ekitike myself, but I also think he is a walk-in 70-minute man. Nacho, would you move on Dango to Gordon this week? Not sure whether to lock myself into... I'd probably keep Dango against Leeds. That feels like a very luxury move. However, if you're in a position right now where, you know, you got loads of transfers, then yeah, that's fine. We'll do Lafitte to Stack. Interesting. I haven't really thought about Stack myself. I mean, Defcon Monster. Ticking over quite nicely in that department. Not great for game week 32 if I wasn't going to go that route. But steady pick. And it's not a bad one. I would go for Anderson over Virgil van Dijk myself. Ollie, do you reckon it's okay if I bench boosting 33 and everyone doesn't double, but have good fixtures, e.g. I'll have double Brentford and Dubravka? Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to have all doublers, really, in game week 33. Yes, you can get an 11, but everybody's bench is going to be different. So I think that's fine if you had, like, double Brentford in that week, for example. Like, if we look at the actual projections, you know, Brentford against Fulham at home, I think that's absolutely fine if you want to go down that route, for sure. Now, I've not been a huge fan of I love Szoboszlai, but do I love him as a pick? Numbers are steady. You know he's going to play 100%. Again, let me just check Jump the Wave to see if there's been any like weird prediction that he's not going to start. I'm assuming he's 100%. Yeah, he's 100%. He's 100% this week. He looks good. The only other option is to do Haaland to DCL, but I think that just complicates things a little bit too much for me. So, I think Szoboszlai probably is the route that I want to go for. But I also just don't love it either. I don't love it, but he's not going to hit this DEFCON, by the way, because he's not going to play right back necessarily. Bit of a difficult one. Dango or Elliot Anderson to start? I think you've got to go Dango. I think you've shown that any sort of assist really, and he's right in and amongst it for points, so for bonus points. So I think I would go Dango, but look, Elliot Anderson, playing a bit more advanced, steady Eddie pick. Like, I'll try and start both if you can. I'll be curious to know why you're benching those in that scenario. Oh, a super chat here from Freystein? Freystein, is it? Sorry, it's kind of cut out so it doesn't go all the way. Thanks so much for super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, Nacho, I have 11 this week, but I want to upgrade Kroopy. 1.7 million in the bank. I'm looking at DCL, Raul, Richarlison, also a defender like Chow. Thoughts? Okay, so firstly, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Just a little bit of context. Obviously, don't send another super chat. Just comment on this one. Firstly, how many transfers do you have available? And secondly, are you looking to wildcard in game week 32? Let me know that first, because I prefer DCL than those other two, personally. I think DCL is the way that I would go. And I like Chow as a pick. I've already bought him myself. But can you just give me a little bit of context on how many transfers you have available and what you're leaning towards in terms of chip strategy, and then we can get that sorted. The fact that Szoboszlai can get you DEFCON 2 makes him a great pick. He definitely passed the eye test 2 naturally. Yeah, damn it, that's a great shout. My only worry is he's getting DEFCON when playing right back. I think, is he definitely going to play right back? And I think he probably plays midfield. So I think the DEFCON probably regresses a little bit. But again, if I've missed that, if I'm wrong on that one, please do let me know. James, hope you well, mate. Gordon Szoboszlai in for a -4. Only 9 starters, including Tarkowski. So you're obviously selling players who don't start. I mean, as far as -4s go, you're buying 2 really good picks. So I can get behind it 100%. Obviously, you ask yourself, nobody or a player and you start at -4. Do you know what I mean? So let's say you done one of the moves and then bringing in Szoboszlai with a -4, you effectively are saying 10 men or Szoboszlai and a -4. So Szoboszlai basically has to get a guaranteed 4 points just to kind of make this worthwhile. But you're saying your wildcard in 32, so it has to just be for this game week in isolation. Do I think they could score more than 4 points? Yes. Would I roll the dice? I think I'd be right on the edge personally. But, you know, if you view Gordon as the one that you're taking a -4 for, maybe that makes it feel a bit better. Start Dubravka or Verbruggen. Well, just going to say Dubravka's ownership is going to be monstrous. I think Verbruggen will get save points against Liverpool. I probably would go for the home game of Verbruggen, but I am conscious that you are taking on quite a big ownership of Dubravka this week. So I'm also wary of that. I don't like playing Dubravka myself, but I feel at ease knowing I've got the guy who is like, you know, owned by everybody pretty much. Szoboszlai could be on penalties, which is a really good shout. Is that the case? Could Szoboszlai be on penalties? That feels good if that is the case. That is quite a big factor that I need to remember. Mbeumo to Gordon, I do like that move. Few people are worried about Mbeumo's minutes. I didn't really see it, but then they're saying Ahmad deserves a start and Mbeumo's been quite poor. So if that is the case, then yeah, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. Yeah, Szoboszlai or Wirtz, and I would like to think maybe Szoboszlai plays, you know, like the big dog card maybe, and gets himself on it. Like I said, the situation right now with Lafy is that I could just play him and hope he plays, but I think Lafy to Szoboszlai feels really good, and Szoboszlai will look really good for game week 32 if I decide not to use my transfers. Like, just to play it out a minute. You know, if we were to do the Szoboszlai route and we done this in game week 32, I'd have Richards at home against Newcastle. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Chow away against Palace, not great. What am I missing in game week 32? This is if I don't wildcard, but I am planning on wildcarding, but just hypothetically speaking. Like, that obviously I don't have, but by the time we get to this week, if I wildcard and Liverpool are the ones doubling in game week 33, I will buy Virgil van Dijk. So I'm only missing Virgil van Dijk for this week. You know, like, if Liverpool win, there's no world I'm not wildcarding probably. So, yeah. Frimpong I do like as a punt. I do like Frimpong as a punt. Yeah, otherwise, you know, I think our team looks fine for game week 32 if I was in a position where I wanted to roll, not use my wild card. Phrase time, by the way, if you're still in the chat, let me know what the add-on bit... Oh, you have, sorry. 2 transfers available. Wildcard and free hit available. Wildcard 33, the strategy. And you're welcome. I love your content, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, unusual one maybe of wildcard in 33. But I like it. I like the unusualness of it. So, you obviously then are needed a team for game week 32 as well. So, upgrading Crew P. If we just get the fixtures up a minute. Game week 31 and 32 is what you're focusing on. If you were to go Raul Jimenez, but you've got Liverpool away afterwards, it's not ideal. So that isn't great. Spurs have got Sunderland away, it's okay. And then Calvert-Lewin, of course, has got the fixture away against Man United. So if you're not looking at game week 33, if you look at those 2 weeks in isolation, I think Raul Jimenez has the best fixture this week, but I cannot guarantee you he even starts the following game, for example. A defender like Chow I really do like. I can get behind the Chow pick. Remember, Palace are playing a few days before their game against Newcastle. So it's a good rest period for Newcastle players. So with that being said, look, I think the answer is Calvert-Lewin. But look, if you want a one game week hurrah, it has to be Richarlison because he's going to play and he could be on penalties. But I think Calvert-Lewin is the play. But I will say this, just as context, I don't really like the forwards in general this week, or I haven't liked the forwards at all this season. So I've been very much more a defender, midfielder fan than a forward fan. Oh, got a super chat here from James. Appreciate it, James. Thank you so much on that one. 9 starters, Gordon and Szoboszlai, worth a -4, and your wild card in 32. Have Tarkowski. So again, James, let me know who you're selling firstly. But the only reason I say that is because are you losing loads of value in certain players? I know you're going to wild card in 32, but if you've got loads of money accumulated in certain players, then that might be a bit of an issue. But for me, I can't afford Gordon for those that are asking. I'm short on Gordon, unfortunately. Gordon and Szoboszlai for -4. As far as -4s go, I can get behind it, yes. I do like the move. Salah and Sarr, yeah. So Salah's out, that's fine. Sarr's... Sarr could not be value at 32, but obviously you are going to sell him. So, yes, I can get behind those moves. Gordon and Szoboszlai, would those be my top 2 picks because you're going to have so much money available? If we just look at the fixtures right now, just as a reminder. Palmer's the alternative. Palmer is the alternative if you want to go there. But look, the 2 that you're mentioning, I think is good. You're going to have 9 players. I can get behind that personally. So yeah, I like the moves, mate. I like the moves. I'm trading Lafie and O'Reilly. Would you bring in Wilson and a 4 million defender? Or Chow and keep Lafie / another? I think Wilson I would try and get in, definitely. O'Reilly to Virgil van Dijk. Again, I like it, but if you are wildcarding the game week 32, Brighton away, like, it's fine for Virgil van Dijk, but it's not the money fixture, is it? And then if you're wildcarding the game week 32, that's when you're going to buy him possibly. So I think I would lean towards the midfielders myself. I don't think Sarr's going to be great value going forward, personally. Training Lafie and O'Reilly, would you bring in Wilson? I personally would go for Wilson. And in terms of a 4 million defender that you can go for, I mean, a 4 million defender that you can go for. Bob on 4 million? Oh, goodness. Let me get the actual site up a minute. It's way better for... I think it'll be Rodon. The reason why it's Rodon, I don't know what your chip strategy is he's got Brentford this week, Man United in 32, they've got Wolves, Bournemouth and Burnley, some really good fixtures. It probably would be Rodon if that's the case. Wilson and Rodon. Right, I really need to make my move. I'm not willing to roll the dice on Lafie, I don't think. I don't think I'm willing to roll the dice when I've got 2 transfers knocking about. I just don't know I can go there. Just checking Twitter one last time, X, whatever you want to call it, to see if there's anything out there. I can't see much out there. So, like, when I see much, I mean, like, in Buemo News and stuff like that. I'm just checking for you guys that are wondering. I think I am going to go for the Szoboszlai pick because if I wildcard in game week 32, I don't really think Van Dijk's the chaser this week. But if I'm going down the route of obviously a 1-week punt, then I've got to ask myself, are there any better ones this week? And when we look at the fixtures as a 1-week punt, I think they're all quite crap, to be honest with you. Fulham, I don't love another midfielder. Newcastle, I can't get to Gordon. I've got Rodgers and not going anywhere else. So, you know, for that reason, I think I might just go for... Are Palace going to double? Yeah, they'll double in 36, we think. Yeah, I think I might go grab Szoboszlai. I think Van Dijk's good for this week. I think he probably does hit DEFCON, but do I think Liverpool are back defensively? I don't know if they are. Szoboszlai could be on penalties as well. Guys in the chat, is there any Liverpool fans out there? Would Szoboszlai be on penalties? Does anyone know? Would it be McAllister? Yes, I would pick Gordon over Szoboszlai if I had the choice, definitely. I unfortunately am short, as you can see, by 2.2 million, sadly. Sadly, I cannot get there. And there's just not really any other plays, to be honest with you. Like, Newcastle midfielders. If only Bruno G was around. If only Bruno G was around. Barnes, I mean, who knows if he plays or not. He probably is the one to go for, but I can't really get behind it. Wilson over Szoboszlai, definitely. Wilson all day over Szoboszlai. Like I said, there's not really any other teams I want to buy a midfielder from. So it comes down to Van Dijk versus Szoboszlai. I think I just prefer... If Szoboszlai plays in that position, let me just get it up a minute for you guys. I don't think they'll play it because I think Salah's the only one that could play that role alongside Ekitike. But if I just get up the game, because I'm hoping they play this system again. I'm hoping he does, but I don't think Arne Slot will be able to play it because I don't think he's got the players to do it while Mo Salah is out. So what I'm talking about is this. If we just put this up on your screens a minute. So what he played was basically, finally, Mo Salah as Cristiano Ronaldo. And what I mean by that is like he actually played him up front rather than a winger because he ain't a winger anymore. So he's played him very central, which is really important. The fact that Mo Salah's out is a little bit painful. But look, he actually had the width of Kerkez and Frimpong, but then he had Mo Salah playing central because that is exactly where he needs to play for the rest of his Liverpool career, depending on how long that is. But what we had here is we had Wirtz playing a bit higher, McAllister playing quite high, but we had them in central areas with the width of Frimpong and Kerkez. So I don't know who this guy is going to be if they go there. That's my only concern. Szoboszlai looked good. I can't get behind McAllister as the pick. Wirtz I can't afford. Van Dijk, as we know, is a monster, but I think the play is to do Lafite to Szoboszlai personally. The only good thing about Richards to there is... Oh no, let's just do it. Let's do it. I think this is the play. Is Lafite to Szoboszlai. Let me just check to see if I've missed anything. Again, could Van Dijk get a hat-trick of headers? Yeah, he could. He could. But I think Szoboszlai's on flames right now. He's playing so well. Let's do it. I'm doing it. Lafite out, Szoboszlai in. Done. It's done. Team's locked in. This is the team for anyone wondering. I think Wilson probably is the captain, like on logical play, but I'm going to go Bruno. He's just in sensational form right now. Just got to post my team to the usual stuff, socials, and then I am yours for 5 minutes to try and answer everything. Sorry guys, just got to do this quickly. Apologies. Just posting it. Boom. God, this is great content for you guys. Sorry. Team selection. And then it's just... What did I do? I've done... I can't remember my own transfers, guys. I've done Lafite to Sobo. I've done Rice to Wilson, which was before. And then I've done O'Reilly to Chow. Bruno captain. Done. Pin that on there. Apologies, guys. Right. Munoz to Cash or Gui to DCL. I think I prefer DCL long term. If it's a long term play, I think I prefer DCL. Who do I switch out Mark Gui for? I have 7 million in the bank, but preferably want to leave some left. Then I think it's DCL. Again, I don't love it, but I think that is the play that I would go for myself. Again, sorry, I just got to put this other one up and then we're done. Just post that. Goodness me. Gordon or Sabozlai? Gordon for me. Gordon for me. Sorry, guys. I'm just posting something. Sorry, just to our Patreons. Patreon, WhatsApp. You can check it out. Links in the bio. It's where I answer questions to people throughout the week. Guys, this is my team. For those that are wondering, we are locked in with 3 minutes to the deadline. What do I have? Timber and Gabriel on bench? Do I wildcard game week 33 and free hit game week 34? Well, if you're in a position right now where you're not making any transfers, you will know the answer by the time we get to that game week 32 deadline, because the FA Cup will dictate what is going on with the doubles. You'll know what to do by then, what chip strategy. How we pick 2 out of 3? Well, I definitely will start Virgil van Dijk, and Hill is just a machine right now for DEFCON. Cash is the upside play. If you're not playing him in a home game, why are you not playing him? It probably will be Van Dijk and Cash, but just know that Hill and Senesi, the Bournemouth coverage, is quite highly owned. Who to buy in defence at doubles in 33? Not Chow Redham. We don't know who's going to double officially in 33, unfortunately, so I don't really have the answer to that right now. Should I transfer Sabozlai in and Mbeumo out? I personally think if I owned Mbeumo with 1 minute to the deadline, I probably would just keep him and hope for the best. I haven't seen anything online to suggest that Mbeumo is necessarily out. I think it's just a lot of worry that he could be possibly out. Again, I don't really know. Personally, I haven't really seen the rumours. Gordon, Sabozlai, then Wirtz for me in terms of ranking. Just because a lot of people were telling me that Sabozlai could be on penalties. That is it. Bruno captain on a Friday night is absolutely a recipe for disaster. I totally agree on that, but for some reason I'm doing it myself. It is probably gonna... Who do I think is winning the Champions League? Oh, just annoyingly, I think Arsenal have such a great shout of doing it. Just think they're the only ones that haven't looked wide open. I would like to see Bayern win it, though. I would like to see Bayern win it. So that's my team right now. Again, guys, we could put the players on the bench and do a bit of, fun, because they're auto sub in for the players that don't play, but I can't bother to do it now with 30 seconds to the deadline. But like I said, team picks itself, captain on Bruno. So good. Day's been very good, thank you. Hope yours has been well as well on that one. I think I've caught up with the chat. So I think captain shouts, like, I think it's Bruno, I think it's Wilson. Those are the two big dogs. Then we're kind of dropping down to, what are we dropping down to then, really? The differential players, aren't we? But I just don't think there are any other alternatives out there for myself. I'm just kind of clock watching right now because I think that could be deadline. It is. It is deadline. We have reached deadline. So, a little bit of context. Made 3 transfers. We've got ages until the deadline. It sucks. Honestly, have they left the fixtures up here? No, I can't get on the fixtures. Basically, we got ages now until the game week 32 deadline. So we've got international football. We've got FA Cup games. We've got an EFL Cup final. We got so much going on between now and then. So we're in a position right now where I'm planning a wildcard in a game week 32. But before the game week 32 deadline, we'll know who doubles in game week 33. So if in a crazy world, Arsenal lose to Southampton and they're not looking to double in game week 33, and then Liverpool beat Man City and it's slightly different to what we anticipated, that might change people's plans. So while I'm looking right now to wildcard in 32, bench boost in 33, a free hit in game week 34, I'm actually quite happy just to be super, super flexible in terms of what I do with my team. So what we are going to do is probably take a bit of time out from fantasy, because the reason being is this. I may do a video. I may possibly do that in terms of putting videos out on Sunday, but we don't really know what is going to happen, really. We don't know exactly what is going to happen. Jonah's saying, turn off subs only for focal rate. I didn't even know I had it on. I can't lie. I didn't even realise I had subs only on. Apologies, guys. I probably should have had that off from the start. Sorry, guys. I realised I just had subs on the whole time. What a nightmare. Apologies all. Jumping ahead a bit, mate. If we wildcard 32, you reckon it's worth getting loads of doublers, even if we have to move them on because they're not the best long-term picks? Yeah, so I think you have to. If you wildcard in that week, you kind of got to lean into that kind of strategy a little bit. So you got to go for the doublers and then just hope you go big with the bench boost in that particular week. Right. I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. I think we are going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the downtime, because I think we're in a position right now where I don't really think there is going to be much fantasy talk in terms of knowing what's going to happen, because the wild card isn't really going on. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really do appreciate it, as always. Hopefully, Bruno Fernandes bags a hat-trick. That'll be quite delicious. Importantly, have a good weekend. Enjoy your Saturday mornings without the chaos of FPL. And I think we'll probably talk incredibly soon. Take care, guys. Cheers. Bye.